talk about your success journey. You are a psychologist, psychoanalyst, a professor, and a radio show host. You come with very impressive experience. Talk about how you got from there to here.
Well, I think for a lot of us, career choice is intimately tied to our past and how we grew up, and that's certainly true with me. You know, I was driven to learn, to understand, to achieve, and to help. I lost my parents when I was young, my mother when I was 11, my father when I was 21, and you know, that taught me a whole lot about life. I started working when I was 12, and my career experience early on in my life taught me a whole lot about what I wanted and who I was. I started working at 12 for an auto wrecking yard, selling auto parts, and I learned a whole lot about cars. And the cool side of it was that I could talk to any boy in town by the time I was 16 years old about their carburetors and their exhaust manifolds and their spark plugs. I could change a water pump. I got really knowledgeable about cars, and it was fascinating to me. But I always remember that my parents told me, you should be a secretary because it gives you something to fall back on. So I walked into an insurance office at 16 years old and I said, I wanted a job as a secretary, and they hired me. So I started working for them after school and on Saturdays, and that actually paid for my education. I continued that work throughout UC Berkeley, and I started working for the district manager, and he would send me to offices of failing insurance agents. And my job was to help them succeed, because by then I knew all about the insurance business and how to do claims and how to write policies, etc. And so I would pick them up, and I was very successful at making agents successful. And so the district manager said, I think you should become an insurance agent. And he urged me to take the licensing exam. And so a week before that licensing exam, after all I studied, I thought to myself, I went into him and I said, who is going to buy insurance from a woman? It was 1971. Nobody was going to buy insurance from a woman, and I hated to disappoint him and not have him have the first female insurance agent in his company, but I couldn't do it. And besides, I just wanted to pay for graduate school and get through and become a psychologist. So I ended up actually being a teacher and a counselor in a high school, and that paid my way through graduate school, and that taught me a lot. I loved working in an educational setting. I loved working with kids. It was hard to leave when I graduated, but I knew I could still work with adolescents and children. Long after that, the Radio Disney program started. You know, in between that, I became a psychoanalyst, and I had a private practice, and I worked for the juvenile court, and I did a number of things. All of it taught me something. I love listening to people and their stories. Everyone has a story. It's like reading a biography every time I meet somebody.
You know, I find it fascinating. Here you were, just a young person. You didn't even have the degree, yet you were going in and talking to insurance people about how they failed. Even then, you were getting into their minds and helping them see, you know, some of their flaws, perhaps.
Well, you know, shame motivates us to save face, and when people are failing, they do a lot of different things to save face. And having some kid come in there and put your office back together and help you organize your claims and get things done that you haven't done and lift you up when you're falling down, they trusted me, and I appreciated that, and I met a lot of very interesting people that way, and they stayed up, which made me happy.